Hello everyone. Welcome to our fascinating journey into the world of biology. Today, we are diving deep into the Five Kingdom classification chapter, specifically focusing on a unique group of non-chordates, the Cnidaria, also known as Coelenterata. Get ready to explore the mysteries of these incredible creatures, from their simple body plans to their surprising adaptations. We'll start with the basics, then gradually unlock more complex concepts, taking you through easy, medium, hard, and even hardest levels of understanding. Let's begin. Let's kick things off with the easy level. Here, we'll cover the fundamental characteristics and examples of cnidarians in a straightforward manner. Cnidarians are simple, aquatic invertebrate animals, mostly found in marine environments. Think of jellyfish, sea anemones, and corals. They're known for their radial symmetry, meaning their body parts are arranged around a central point, like spokes on a wheel. This is super helpful for animals that are either stuck in one place or just drifting along. They also have a sac-like body and, most famously, specialized stinging cells called nematocysts. These tiny harpoons are used for both catching food and defending themselves. They're diploblastic, meaning their body wall is made of just two main cell layers, separated by a jelly-like substance. This gives them a basic tissue organization. We'll also look at their two main body forms, the polyp, which is usually attached, and the medusa, which floats freely. So, what are the key things to remember about cnidarians? First, their radial symmetry helps them sense their surroundings from all directions. Second, they're diploblastic, showing an early form of tissue organization. Third, those unique nematocysts are their signature feature, essential for survival. Fourth, they have a gastrovascular cavity, which is a single opening that acts as both mouth and anus, handling both digestion and nutrient distribution. And finally, many of them can exist in two forms, the sessile polyp, like a sea anemone, or the free-swimming medusa, like a jellyfish. Great examples to remember include hydra, the freshwater polyp, jellyfish, the famous medusa, colorful sea anemones, and corals, which are colonial polyps that build reefs. Time to test your understanding with a few easy questions. 1. What is the primary characteristic of cnidarians related to their feeding and defense? 2. Name the two basic body forms found in cnidarians and give one example for each. And 3. Describe the body symmetry of cnidarians. Take a moment to think about your answers. Ready to dive a bit deeper? At the medium level, we'll explore the how and why behind cnidarian features. Cnidarians represent a significant step in evolution, being among the first animals to develop true tissues. Their body organization is diploblastic, meaning they have two germ layers, an outer ectoderm forming the epidermis, and an inner endoderm forming the gastrodermis. In between, there's a noncellular jelly-like layer called the mesoglia, providing support. This basic tissue structure allows for more coordinated functions than seen in simpler organisms. Their radial symmetry is crucial for their lifestyle, enabling them to detect stimuli evenly from all sides, which is perfect for organisms that are either sessile or drift in the water column. Now, let's talk about their most famous feature, nematocysts. These aren't just simple stinging cells, they're complex harpoon-like structures located within specialized cells called cnidocytes. Each nematocyst contains a coiled, barbed thread filled with venom. When triggered, usually by touch or chemicals, a lid called the operculum opens and the thread rapidly everts, injecting venom. This is one of the fastest biological processes known. Many cnidarians also show polymorphism, meaning they have different body forms. The polyp is typically attached and reproduces asexually, while the medusa is free-swimming and reproduces sexually. This alternation of forms in their life cycle is called metagenesis. Cnidarians have an incomplete digestive system. This means they have a single opening that functions as both mouth and anus, leading into a central gastrovascular cavity. Digestion starts extracellularly in this cavity, where enzymes begin breaking down food. Then, partially digested food is taken up by cells lining the cavity for intracellular digestion. This cavity also helps distribute nutrients throughout the body. While they lack a centralized brain, they do have a simple nerve net, a diffuse network of nerve cells spread throughout their body. This allows for basic, uncoordinated responses to stimuli, like contracting their tentacles or body. Let's test your medium-level knowledge. 1. Explain how the diploblastic body organization differs from triploblastic organization. 2. Describe the structure and function of a nematocyst in detail. 3. Differentiate between the polyp and medusa body forms, including their typical modes of reproduction. 4. How does the gastrovascular cavity facilitate both digestion and circulation in cnidarians? And 5. What is the evolutionary significance of the nerve net in cnidarians? Moving on to the hard level. Here, we'll analyze cnidarian features in greater depth, connecting them to broader biological theories and evolutionary concepts. Cnidarians mark a significant evolutionary milestone. They are the first animal group to exhibit true tissues, moving beyond the cellular-level organization of sponges. This tissue-level organization, though simple, allowed for more specialized functions and coordinated responses. Their radial symmetry is not just a random trait, it's a highly effective adaptation for organisms that are either sessile, meaning attached to a surface, or planktonic, drifting in the water. This symmetry enables them to perceive and react to stimuli equally from all directions, which is crucial when food or threats can approach from anywhere in a three-dimensional aquatic environment. It's a testament to early evolutionary success. When we compare cnidarians to porifera, the differences highlight the evolutionary advancements. While both are simple invertebrates, cnidarians possess true tissues, radial symmetry, and a gastrovascular cavity for digestion, none of which are found in sponges. The mechanism of nematocyst discharge is also quite sophisticated. It's triggered by touch or chemical cues, leading to a rapid influx of water due to osmotic pressure, which then explosively everts the barbed filament. The venom injected is a complex cocktail of neurotoxins, hemolysins, and cardiotoxins designed to paralyze prey or deter predators. This intricate system showcases remarkable biological engineering at a microscopic level. Cnidarian reproduction involves both asexual budding in polyps and sexual reproduction, typically in medusae, which release gametes into the water. The resulting zygote develops into a ciliate, free-swimming planula larva, a crucial dispersal stage. This larva eventually settles and transforms into a new polyp, completing a life cycle that often alternates between polyp and medusa forms, a process called metagenesis. Ecologically, cnidarians are indispensable. Coral reefs, built by colonial anthozoan polyps, are biodiversity hotspots, supporting countless marine species. The symbiotic relationship between corals and photosynthetic zooxanthellae is vital. The algae provide energy, while the coral offers protection, illustrating a perfect example of mutualism essential for ecosystem health. Now, for some hard-level questions. 1. Discuss two significant evolutionary advancements observed in cnidarians compared to porifera. 2. Explain the role of osmotic pressure in the discharge mechanism of a nematocyst. 3. Outline the typical life cycle of a cnidarian, starting from the zygote, and identify the key larval stage. 4. Describe the mutualistic relationship between corals and zooxanthellae and its ecological importance. 5. How is radial symmetry an advantageous adaptation for the lifestyle of most cnidarians? 6. Beyond feeding and defense, what other physiological functions are served by the gastrovascular cavity? And 7. Name the three major classes of cnidaria and provide a distinguishing characteristic for each. Welcome to the hardest level. Here, we'll explore cnidarians with competitive depth, examining their intricate biology, evolutionary context, and real-world implications, even touching upon biomimicry and biomedical insights. Cnidarians hold a critical phylogenetic position as basal metazoans, members of the Radiata clade. Their early divergence provides invaluable insights into the origins of multicellularity and tissue development. While often considered simple, their nervous system, a diffuse nerve net, allows for coordinated, albeit non-centralized, responses. However, some medusae, particularly box jellyfish, possess surprisingly complex sensory structures called rhopalia. These rhopalia contain not just stetocysts for balance, but also true eyes with lenses, corneas, and retinas, enabling sophisticated visual processing for hunting and navigation, a remarkable feat for an animal without a brain. Lacking specialized organs, cnidarians rely on simple diffusion for vital processes. As osmoconformers, their internal solute concentrations match the surrounding water, minimizing osmotic stress. Gas exchange for oxygen and carbon dioxide also occurs across their thin body surfaces and the extensive lining of the gastrovascular cavity. Metabolic wastes like ammonia are similarly diffused out. This efficiency is a testament to their simple yet effective body plan in an aquatic environment. Furthermore, some deep-sea cnidarians exhibit bioluminescence, using light for communication, attracting prey, or deterring predators, showcasing remarkable adaptations to extreme conditions. The symbiotic relationship between corals and zooxanthellae is a cornerstone of marine biodiversity. These photosynthetic dinoflagellates provide crucial energy, enabling corals to build vast reefs. However, this symbiosis is fragile. Environmental stressors like rising ocean temperatures can lead to coral bleaching, where corals expel their zooxanthellae, often resulting in their death. This has devastating ecological and economic consequences. On another front, the unique discharge mechanism of nematocysts, driven by extreme osmotic pressure, has inspired biomimicry research. Scientists are studying these microscopic harpoons for potential applications in targeted drug delivery systems, microinjection devices, and advanced materials, mimicking nature's precision engineering. Cnidarians also hold significant economic and medical importance. Coral reefs are invaluable, supporting fisheries, tourism, and coastal protection globally. Their venoms, particularly from box jellyfish and sea anemones, are rich sources of potent bioactive compounds. These toxins are being actively investigated in biomedical research for their potential as novel therapeutics, including pain relievers, anti-cancer agents, and cardiovascular drugs, demonstrating the pharmaceutical potential hidden within these creatures. Understanding the precise mechanisms of these venoms could lead to breakthroughs in medicine, showcasing how even seemingly simple organisms can have profound impacts on human health and technology. Now, for the first set of hard-level questions. 1. Compare the evolutionary significance of the nerve net in cnidarians with the centralized nervous system found in Bilateria. 2. Discuss the limitations of simple diffusion for gas exchange and excretion in cnidarians and how their body plan compensates for these. 3. Elaborate on the sophisticated sensory capabilities of cubozoans, particularly their visual system, and its adaptive advantages. 4. Explain the phenomenon of coral bleaching, its causes, and its long-term ecological consequences. And 5. Beyond their role in reef building, what are two other significant ecological impacts of cnidarians, both positive and negative? Here are the remaining hard-level questions. 6. Describe how cnidarian venoms are being utilized in biomedical research, providing specific examples of potential applications. 7. Differentiate between the dominant life stages and unique characteristics of the Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa, and Anthozoa classes. 8. From a biomimicry perspective, what specific features of nematocysts are scientists trying to replicate, and for what potential applications? 9. Analyze the challenges faced by deep-sea cnidarians and discuss one adaptation they might exhibit to thrive in such extreme environments. And finally, 10. How does the phylogenetic placement of Cnidaria in the radiata clade inform our understanding of early animal evolution? And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Cnidaria. We've journeyed from their basic characteristics to their complex evolutionary significance, ecological roles, and even their impact on medicine and technology. We hope this comprehensive exploration has enriched your understanding. For more such engaging and in-depth educational content across various subjects and levels, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and to continue your learning journey with us. Thank you for joining, and keep exploring the wonders of biology.